Hi there, this is Grant. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at a problem that I was trying to solve, which is making a video countdown with announcements. And so this would be like, for example, for our church, we wanted to have a 5-minute countdown that was one of the interesting, cool backgrounds, but we wanted to put some of our own announcements on top of that. And we didn't want to take a whole bunch of time to prepare that for kind of a pre-service loop each week. We wanted to have something that we kind of use over and over again. We may change a few times a year, and we didn't have to go to like a whole video editing suite. It's like, hey, is there some way we could use PowerPoint to make this happen? And I finally figured out a way, and I hadn't seen that anyone else had found this precise way of doing it. So what we have here is just straight PowerPoint. This is 2019, the one you get with Office 365. I'm making this in I guess the last day of September in 2019, so that's the version that we're using right now. And I've just opened up a basic PowerPoint template in this case, it's just a regular standard HD 1080p template in 1920 by 1080. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a background, a countdown background that I really like. And this was just one that I found. We were doing a kind of a city series, and so I said, okay, let's do something with the city. So I'm just going to take this and drop it in here. And the first slide is black. So if we were to, let me see if I can play this. If I preview it, you can see this is what it looks like. And here you can see that I have space up here on the top that I can use. There is some sound. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Let's see if I can stop this, stop my preview. So let's just work on this animation a little bit. I don't want something in the background. If you want sound in the background, you can totally do that, but I'm going to want to take that back, or take that out. So I'm going to do here volume, and I'm going to mute the volume for this particular one. Now I can do some fade ins and fade outs. I can trim the video if it's too long and I wanted to cut it down to, let's say, a 3-minute timer. I could do that. There's lots of nice little tools in here to be able to do those kinds of things. So now I have this, I can click play, and I can just see this is counting down once every second. So now what I want to do is I want to overlay on the top section here some cool announcement stuff that I want to be able to do, and I want to have it go on and have the counter still play while that stuff transitions. And what's hard about that is that I can't in PowerPoint make extra slides here that then enable me to be able to see what's still going on, and to make this timer continue, because it won't continue across multiple slides, at least in the version that I have right now. Maybe they'll make that feature someday, and that would be fantastic. But for right now, that's not a thing. So what I want to do is I want to kind of show you how we're going to layer this together and make it work, because I do want some effects and things like that as we go through it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here and I'm going to make a new slide. And this is just just a regular stock slide. There doesn't need to be anything special. I'm going to go ahead and take out, we didn't even have to take out this. We can leave this piece here. And let's put, we're glad you're here. And this is not, I'm not going to do any kind of fancy design or anything like that. This is just showing you how to get this to work, put the pieces together. So now what I want to do is I want to overlay this on top of the background that we had over here in this slide. So the way we're going to do this, and what I recommend, is we're going to click on this slide here, and you got to get the clicks just right in order to make this work. We're going to take this slide, click one time, and we're going to drag it onto here. And what that's going to do is that's going to embed that slide onto, so slide 2 is now embedded onto slide 1. And we can see what we're going to do is we're going to align it. Now we're going to make it full screen. So what we've effectively done is we've just covered up our slide number 1, which is not what we want at all. What we want to do is we want this to show through. And so we're going to have to go back to slide number 2, right click, click Format Background. Format Background, we can now take the transparency and set it to 100%. And as we do that, you can see that this slide is now visible. Now, we can't see anything because it's black, so we need to work on our text a little bit. And this is a place where I'd recommend getting a little bit creative. You can come over here to the Format tab and try some things. I've had some pretty decent luck with this. It shows up pretty well with this embossed kind of set back text. You can do whatever you want. There's tons of different options. You just kind of have to look at your particular background. PowerPoint has quite a few actually really nice features, and this gray actually doesn't work that well, so I've been changing it to white. And while it doesn't look that great here, on black it actually looks pretty good. And if we were to, now here's another problem. if we want to play the video to kind of see what it looks like, it's a little bit tricky because I can't see the background and I can't get to it. So the way I've done that is there's this thing called the selection, the selection pane. And if you just go up here to search for it, you can find that. And here's everything that's on my page right now. So I have the title and the subtitle, which they put on there, which let's just go ahead and get rid of those. I can click on them, press the delete key, click, and you can see it's selecting underneath. Press the delete key. And now what I'm going to do is I want this to be on the bottommost layer, and I want this to be on the layer up above. But I can select this bottom layer by clicking on this thing over here in the selector. And you can see now that this popped up here, I can play this. So I can play this. And now you can see that this is over the top. Let's adjust the size of the text just a little bit. We'll click on that. We'll make this text a little bit bigger. Oops, here we go. Oh, pressing the wrong keys. Let's just click the buttons instead. So let's do something like this. So now we can see that's a little bit bigger. I can then go down and select this, and I can play it, and I can see what we're looking at. Great. So there it is. I have now one thing layered over the video. It's like, yeah, I could have done that with just regular text. So, hey, what's going on? So let's look at how to do the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this slide, just a copy, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paste. And I'm going to change this. And we should say like coffee is available. There we go. And now we want to put that one also on this slide. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click here and we will take and drag it across and align it and do this. And as you can see, the background isn't set, even though I copied it. And I don't know if this is a bug in PowerPoint or whatever, but it does not take the background. So every slide that you make, you will have to set the background transparency to this so that it's correct. Set it to 100%. So now I have kind of this mess. I can now select this slide here and click play, and there it is, but now I have too much stuff on the screen. So how am I going to deal with that? The way I deal with that is with animations. And so I'm going to bring up the animations, and I can now select my first animation, and I can get rid of this format right there, but I need to keep the selection open so I can select all my slides. I can also rename these. I'm going to do this. I'm going to call this slide 2 and slide 3. So now it's really clear to me which one I'm working on. And I can also turn on and off the visibility on those so I can hide or show certain ones to be able to look and see how my compositing is with the particular picture that I have. So what I want to do is I want to animate these things so they come on and off the screen at the right times. So I click on animation. I'm going to look at the animation pane, which is very, very helpful. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to change how this starts. I want to have it start automatically. And so what I have to do there is go to select the background and then with playback, and I want to start it automatically, just like that. It's going to change that. And so now that you see that change the animation here, that it's going to start right at the very beginning. And then this end one, I don't want to ever stop it. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to remove oops, that didn't quite work right. I'm going to have to do that again. It took both of them out. So what I'm going to do is go up here to animations, click on the one I want to animate, add animation, play. And that's going to put my one thing in there. And I want it to play not on click. I want it to start with previous or start after previous. So that'll just start as soon as I run this slide. You're going to be able to see it. So let's take a look at what our slideshow looks like right now. I'm going to set up the show and just show it on one monitor. Okay, show on the primary monitor, no presenter view. Great. So here it is. You can see the slideshow starts and all of our stuff is up there at the top, just showing there in all of its glory. All right, let's stop that, escape out, and let's go ahead and figure out how to animate these things. So I'm going to select slide number 2, and I am going to add from the animations page an animation. And I want it to, let's say, fly in. So it's going to come in like that. And now I want that to happen after the previous. Now the problem with starting it after the previous is that this can start at 5 minutes in. So we don't want to do that. We want it to actually start with the previous. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a delay in. So I want it to start out here at, let's say, 3 seconds in. Okay. And now I'm going to do this and I'm going to say I want it to fade out. So same thing, fade out. However, I don't want it to start with those, and so I want to start after previous. It actually adds them all up, and so I have to start with previous and then add a delay. And And so let's say in this case, I wanted to start at about, let's say I want it to be up there for about 15 seconds. So if I change this one to, I'm sorry, about 10 seconds, and then right down here, I can zoom in and out. So I can zoom out a little bit so I can see there's all my stuff, and I can drag this over here. So here's this, and I'm gonna see if you click that, it just changes the length of it, which you don't want to do. So you have to zoom in a little bit. The zooming isn't great, and the nice thing is once you get this set up, you should be good to go. So it's going to wait 5 seconds. It's going to have the effect to transition in, and then after 10 seconds from there, it's going to have the effect to transition out. So let's do the next slide. The next slide, same thing. I'm going to add an animation. Let's just say it's going to fade in and add an animation, fade out. Now, the nice thing is when I select two of these, I can select them both, right click, start after previous, or start with previous, sorry. And now I'm all set here. I can drag this out to, let's say, 20 seconds. And I'm going to drag this out to 30 seconds right there. And now if I zoom out on my timeline, I can see that I start this. I'm going to fade slide the first slide in, fade the second, fade it out, fade the second slide in, fade the second slide out. So now if we play this with F5, we now should see, here's our countdown, and it starts. There's the first one, and we're going to wait our little 10 seconds here while that one is displayed so people can read it. And then that one fades out. We're going to wait 5 seconds in between, and the new one appears, and that one after 10 seconds will fade out. And so you can see how really you can display anything you want on the slides that's going to give you this really nice effect. So the question is, what do I do with this? And if I can get my PowerPoint back here, there it is. There's a couple ways to do this. You could just display PowerPoint. Just set it up to display and it's going to work great, no problems at all. The thing I would recommend is you actually come over here to File and you can do a Save As, and then what you can do is actually choose to save it as here, if we go here, let's just save it into my video folder. And we do this, and I come down here and I save it as an MP4 file. And this one, I can just save it as loop or countdown. And so that will actually render the entire thing out. Now you may get a few extra things at the end, but you're going to get those first slides. Hit save, and this is probably going to take a while, especially if you're rendering it in 1080p. It could take 20-30 minutes to render depending on your computer. But that will then give you an MP4 file that you can then play if you're using some kind of presentation software like ProPresenter or Easy Worship or something like that. Those will all work. So you just do that. Now you also can change a few things with your slideshow, set it up to if you want to hide some slides, or if you want to have a custom slideshow where you just start it on slide 1 and only go to slide 1. That works pretty well too. The other thing you may want to consider is in here adding a section. Where this is like my new section, this could be called the overlay, and then this is the countdown video, so I can right click rename. So there we go. So now we have the countdown video, our overlays, and you can see I can add as many of these as I want. This gets a little bit busy, but with these tools over here with the selection pane and with the animation pane, it's pretty easy to do. And the nice thing is like, let's say you lay out 20 slides that are kind of timed this way. You can then just change the content of the slides, right here. If I want something else, like let's say I wanted to add an image of, let's say, a coffee cup, I could come in here and insert, and I could do online pictures and choose a coffee cup and see what I could find for coffee cups. And let's say I wanted this coffee cup on there. I could click and insert, and there's my coffee cup. Oops, I'm dragging some things all over the place. And right there is my coffee cup. And so now when I do that overlay is there. Now, obviously I want to work on this a little bit, do some transparency adjustments, which you can do over here, and remove the background and do some things like that, but it works great. So those are the basics of how to make a countdown from a video that allows you to overlay your own content on top. Have a great day.